Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It is 6:07. It's the 29th day of September, Monday morning. Thanks for starting your week with us the right way. Appreciate it. You're listening to O'Connor and Company all morning long, right up until 9 a.m. Starting at 7:05, we'll have a conversation with former U.S. Attorney Joe DeGeneva as he has thoughts about those indictments handed down to James Comey. 7:35 brings us Matt Schlapp of CPAC, and then at 8:05, General Jack Keane talk about Benjamin Netanyahu's meeting with President Trump today. That's all coming up. It's Larry O'Connor alongside the returning Julie Gunlock, back from vacation. Welcome back, Julie. You were missed.
Good morning. I'm so glad to be back. It's fun to be back.
You know who else is back?
Who?
Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh.
You missed. You missed all the drama. You missed all the drama. This whole story unfolded while you've been off the air. So welcome back, alongside Jimmy Kimmel, who of course returned triumphantly after being removed. And let's not forget the reason he was removed, because it's funny. I've been reading a couple of articles here. The latest development, by the way, is that the two station-owning groups, Sinclair and Nextstar, they, of course, own the local television stations that receive the syndicated network content from ABC. They had removed Jimmy Kimmel from their stations, including WJLA right here in Washington, D.C. And regardless of whether ABC brought him back on the air and supplied the show to those local stations, if the station ownership didn't want the show, they could refuse the show and run, Family Feud reruns or whatever they want. It turns out on Friday, both Nextstar and Sinclair decided to bring Jimmy Kimmel back, whether that was a financial decision, whether they were under pressure from various entities and interests, or whether they used this as leverage to get a better deal from ABC, which I hope they did.
Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel is now back, and I guess he's clearance in all of the major markets, which certainly helps the revenue situation for that show. Because if you're not in big cities, it doesn't matter whether you're doing your show or not, you're not going to get any ad revenue.
Look, Larry, I'm so confused because I was informed that Jimmy Kimmel was currently living in a gulag in Kansas, that he had been sent away to jail, that he was never going to be heard from again, that this was more of Trump's fascism. So I'm a little surprised by this. Did he break out of jail? Like, I don't understand. Just before I left for vacation, he was the victim of fascism and was going to be put in a camp. And now he's free and back on TV.
Yeah,
I'm so confused.
Turns out that was premature. He had a 4-day paid vacation is what happened.
Oh, okay, got it.
Actually what happened.
Wow.
And what's interesting, though, is you read the articles. Here's an article, for example. This is a syndicated news outlet that I shall not name because they're here in the Washington, D.C. area, by the way. Starts with a W, ends with a P. They talk about how Sinclair and Nextstar have brought them back on the air. And then not once in the entire article mention what Jimmy Kimmel said to be removed from the air.
Right.
In fact, the only commentary on Jimmy Kimmel's on-air content is Kimmel's original comments didn't otherwise focus on Kirk. He instead lambasted President Trump in his administration's response to the killing. When Kirk was killed, Kimmel called it a senseless murder and shared a message of support for his family and other victims of gun violence on social media. So they write it as though Kimmel was, all broken up over the death of Charlie Kirk, and never mentions what he said on the air that was objectionable, that led people to say this guy doesn't deserve the privilege of being on the public airwaves. Here's what he said. Cut 5. We'll remind you, even though these other places you get your news here in D.C. Don't want you to know it because they're not in the business of telling you the news. Here, cut 5.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Now, that's a despicable, disgusting lie.
Yeah.
And paints the victim and friends and supporters of the victim as part of the problem, as if they had committed the murder.
That's right.
It's gross.
It's worth losing your show over.
And that was a setup for a joke, by the way.
I know.
So again, you're using the murder of Charlie Kirk as a setup for a joke at Trump's expense and at MAGA's expense. So here's cut 6, the day he got back on the air.
I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man.
Okay, I'm going to throw up.
It was obviously his intention to make light of it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have premised a joke on that. I mean, that's the definition of making light. Because he has a job to do.
He has a job to make light of it. He has a job to do to paint Charlie Kirk as an extremist who deserved it. That's his job. He was willing to do that.
Yeah. So now he's been brought back. He's never had to apologize. Sinclair had said they won't have him back unless he does a heartfelt apology, makes a donation to the Kirk family, makes a donation to Turning Point USA. Apparently they didn't mean it because now he's back on the air on Sinclair across the country, including here in D.C. That decision was made on Friday. So Jimmy Kimmel is back. He's a martyr. No harm, no foul. One thing, though, does stay consistent from the pre-Jimmy Kimmel being taken off the air to the Jimmy Kimmel being taken off the air. He's right back in the toilet with his ratings again.
Yep.
He had a huge spike. Obviously, the first day back, everybody wanted to see what he had to say. And now he's right back where he belongs, which is basically this show has pretty much the same listeners in this one market than he has nationwide. And there it is. He also makes $16 million a year.
Oh, dear.
Also, his contract is up. But something tells me that he's not going to be renewed. I could be wrong. But
I hope they do the right thing.
I get a hunch. Yeah. I get a hunch that he won't be renewed. Sinclair, by the way, is based in Maryland, right here in the area. And we're told that the ownership of the Sinclair Group leans to the right and is somewhat conservative. Nextstar is based in Texas. They did preempt the show for 3 more days after Kimmel's return last week, but now he'll be back as of now. The ABC also said, Sinclair said that it has a responsibility as local broadcasters to provide programming that serves the interests of our communities while also honoring our obligations to air national network programming. They said that they received thoughtful feedback from viewers, advertisers, and community leaders and noticed troubling acts of violence referencing the shooting into the lobby of a Sacramento station. Oh, that's right. Did we not mention that? Somebody tried to open fire on a Sinclair local station in Sacramento. I'm sure it was a conservative who did that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Another member of MAGA there. So that's the latest. For his part, though, Andrew Colvett, who was Charlie Kirk's producer on his podcast and radio show and is one of the higher-ups at Turning Point USA, he said, Jimmy got emotional so well. He's emotional for himself because he almost torched his entire career. He said, Kimmel is an unrepentant liar who tried to blame Charlie's assassination on the part of the country that just spent the last 2 weeks praying and holding vigils. What he's really saying is that he still thinks it's fair game to slander conservatives. It's critical that liars admit they lied. There can be no restoration without that. Anything short of that is a fake and scripted cry line designed to endear him to fans, not to make right the wrong he committed. And, well, it's hard to dispute that.
I just will say, Kimmel will be forgotten. What Charlie Kirk has done and what we have seen over the last few weeks, people going to church, people seeking spiritual guidance and more meaningful lives, this matters. Kimmel doesn't. And I think at times like this, when we pray and ask for more peaceful times, I think it is important to remember that, because it is incredibly frustrating that people like Kimmel get paid $16 million a year to spew this hatred and misinformation. And it is frustrating, especially for people like us, but he will be forgotten, but Kirk lives on.
I'm just looking forward to Jake Tapper being a guest. They're best buddies, Oh, did you not know that? It's funny. Jake Tapper's been reporting on this for 2 weeks with such just outrage against the networks for taking him off the air, and yet he never revealed that they're close personal friends and that he attended his birthday party. Jake Tapper is the last journalist with integrity in this town.
That's right.
And I mean that seriously.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
So ICE facilities are under attack, as you know, in various places around the country, including the deadly attack on an ICE vehicle in Dallas last week at the hands of a crazy left-winger inspired by Antifa anarchists. President Trump has now ordered Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to provide, as he puts it, all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa. There's been a nightly demonstration in front of ICE facilities there with graffiti defacing the building and broken windows, et cetera, et cetera. So this is my favorite part of the story, Julie. The mayor of Portland kept taking to social media saying, we are not war-torn. We are not under attack. Yeah. Everything is fine here. There's no need for troops. And then he included a video of the ICE facility. And Julie, he's showing the video, and it says, look, everything's fine. Everything's peaceful. The entire facility, all of the windows are boarded up with plywood.
Right. Well, and not only that, but, he does, it was like 9 a.m. in the morning when he took that video. Yeah. Like, I don't know if you know this, but Antifa is kind of like vampires. They sleep during the day and they attack at night. So go back at 9 p.m., governor or mayor or whoever you are. I follow a guy on Twitter, and I suggest everyone follow him, Kevin Dahlgren. He's at Kevin V. Dahlgren, Dahl. He is sort of a street reporter, and he talks about the drug problems and the homeless problems in Portland, really gives the facts. And he's not political. He's not enormously political. He just really wants to tell the facts. He has a lot to say about Portland and the reality, not this sort of baloney that we're seeing from the mayor. It is a war zone. It is a disaster, and it is it's horrible from a human rights perspective what this city has done to these people. They need help.
And I've spent a lot of time in Portland this last year. My father lived there upon his death, and my stepmother still lives there. And when you're there, there's this whole rallying cry of "Keep Portland Weird," which, by the way, they stole from Austin. Austin was "Keep Portland Weird." That was their slogan. But there's no, we embrace our weirdness. Their weirdness is destructive vandalism, and the reek of drugs and pot everywhere you go when you walk downtown. The place is inundated. I did love when he put out that video that said, "Oh, everything's fine here. It's safe. We're not a war zone." And Mary Catherine Ham responded to it and said, "So the plywood is what? A design choice? What? You're just trying to spruce things up?" Right. The other night, an anti-ICE protester was dragged to the ground by law enforcement because she was standing in the way of their operations. They're trying to barricade themselves in front of their vehicles. She resisted arrest. She was carried away. But every night they are dealing with this. They are impeding federal law enforcement from doing their job and enforcing the law. That's the bottom line. So that's the latest out of Portland. We'll see what that showdown looks like. But the state of Oregon is suing to stop Trump from sending National Guard. They will lose, by the way. They should probably look south of their border because Gavin Newsom tried to do the same thing and already lost in federal court. Meanwhile, the administration is urging the Supreme Court to move quickly on the question of birthright citizenship. They asked the Supreme Court Friday to weigh in on the legality of Trump's executive order. They're taking the stance. It's like, we don't even want to wait to be sued on this because we know we're going to be. Let's just move it right to the Supreme Court. And that's how confident that they are that they've got the law on their side and the Constitution on their side. Solicitor General John Sauer has asked the justices to review a ruling by a federal appeals court holding that the order violates the Constitution, as well as a similar decision by a federal judge in New Hampshire. Sauer told the court that the mistaken view that birth on U.S. territory confers citizenship on anyone subject to the regulatory reach of U.S. law became pervasive with destructive consequences, and that seems to be well put there. So hopefully that will be fast-tracked. It will be another absolutely momentous year in the Supreme Court, making decisions on things that should have been decided decades and decades and decades ago.
Exactly. They have been kicking this down the road, and this is a big question. This will make an enormous impact if, in fact, birthright citizenship is reconsidered. And people coming here specifically to give birth in order for their children to have citizenship. That will stop. That will simply stop.
We'll run that by Joe DeGenova when he joins us at 7:05, as well as his thoughts on the indictment of James Comey. That's coming up right now. It's 6:23. And coming up, we've got more news on the immigration front. ICE arrested a criminal illegal alien working in Des Moines, Iowa. Usually that wouldn't make national news, but this guy, he was the superintendent of schools for Des Moines. We'll give you all the incredible details next.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is 6:37. It's O'Connor and Company, and Julie Gunlock ran a 10K while you were hearing a news report. Are you okay, Jules?
I was just a little late to get back. Sorry.
Fine. It's good you're here. That's all that matters.
Nice.
And coming up later
Get away with anything.
Program, at 7:05, Joe DeGenova will join us. At 7:35, Matt Schlapp from CPAC. And at 8:05, General Jack Keane on President Trump's meeting today with Benjamin Netanyahu. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. Julie, we were just getting an update on ICE's activities over the weekend and the showdown in Portland and all that jazz. But I got to tell you, my favorite story of the weekend regarding ICE has to do with a fugitive criminal illegal alien who appears to be guilty of multiple crimes. There was a deportation order from last May. This is during the Biden administration. Everyone take note. The Biden administration issued. So you know a guy's got to be bad for the Biden administration and Mayorkas to say, yeah, this guy should be deported, right? I mean, you know, he had been arrested on a weapons charge. Right. He's from Guyana. ICE officers pulled him over in Des Moines, Iowa over the weekend, and he found out they were ICE, and he took off in his car. High-speed chase ensues. He gets out of his car, runs. They find him using canine officer dogs, police dogs, find him hiding in bushes from the police.
Wild. They
found in his car a loaded gun, a fixed-blade hunting knife, and $3,000 in cash. It's an incredible story. Wait for it. Person, fugitive from the law, the criminal, the illegal alien in this country facing deportation from the Biden administration, finally tracked down, literally with dogs, finding him hiding in bushes. That guy is the superintendent of Des Moines, Iowa Public Schools, Dr. Ian Andre Roberts.
Oh.
I mean... From
Of
Guyana.
Of course. What's interesting is that it's an all-female, all-leftist school board.
Yep.
In Des Moines.
Yes.
That appointed this guy. Now, they're claiming ignorance. We had no idea. We didn't know about his record. Well, shouldn't you have asked some questions? Right. Yeah. That's your job. They say nothing was brought to them of concern. That's why you ask questions. I mean, was there a background check done?
Yeah.
Was there a criminal record check done?
That's right.
Did you ask any questions?
Any basic check done. And by the way, and now they're claiming, well, he lied on his I-9 form. Oh, well, but let's just be clear here for a moment. Every single human being in America who is working at a regular job, a W-2 kind of job, you have to fill out an I-9 form. It's an immigration form where you present identification proving that you are legally allowed to work in this country. And if you are lying on that form, as this person did, stop telling me that these are hardworking people who just come here and their only violation is the civil crime of breaking our immigration laws. No, they continue to break the law through identity theft or lying on their I-9 form. That continues to be a crime. Every time they cash their paycheck under the guise of working in this country legally, when they lied on their I-9 form, they continue to break the law. But you're right. In terms of any kind of vetting or background check, this person's the superintendent of public schools and you didn't do a basic background check? No. Here's what this is. This all-female left-wing school board in Des Moines felt incredibly virtuous about themselves.
Yes.
Because they hired a black man from Guyana who claims he has a doctorate. His name is Ian Andre Roberts. Who knows where he got his doctorate?
Yeah. Well, they say he lacked the basic education and experience. It's all lies. This guy is a complete fraud. This guy is completely dangerous. Go on.
Can I give you actually even a more? I know you feel like it's already been the whipped cream and the nuts and everything, but here's the cherry on top. This all-female school board in Des Moines who hired this guy and continues to try to defend him while covering their own butts. The president of the school board is a woman named Jackie Norris. Who is Jackie Norris? Well, she is running for Senate in Des Moines because in Iowa. Because why do you want to be on the school board? Because I care about children.
Yeah.
No, because you want to build your political career.
Right.
And if you're a Democrat, going on the school board means that you're connected with the school teachers union, which is a whole treasure chest of political activity and fundraising. It's always the first step now. So they're using your school boards as a political stepping stone. So this woman, Jackie Norris, who runs the school board that hired this criminal illegal alien to be the superintendent, she's running for Senate. And by the way, one other resume credit. She was Michelle Obama's chief of staff in the White House.
It's the most perfect setup here, Larry. And look, this is DEI in action. This is DEI in action, looking at someone's skin color and choosing them entirely based on their skin color. It is racist, and it's clearly dangerous when you don't care about anything else. You don't care about their qualifications. You don't care about their criminal background. You don't care if they're an illegal alien. The color of their skin is the qualifier. That's it. So these women were willing to hire a man with a deportation order, a criminal record, and no educational experience for the job because he was black. How insulting. How racist can you get? And this was Michelle Obama's chief of staff. The Obama years just continue to infect this country.
And just to paint the picture for you, Jackie Norris, the woman who's running for Senate in charge of the school board in Des Moines, former chief of staff, she looks exactly like the kind of woman who would change the logo of Cracker Barrel. Except she doesn't have the glasses. I'll give her that. She does not have
she has them.
costume.
She has them. They're reading glasses, Larry.
Exactly. Also, finally, one other bit: the consulting firm and headhunter firm that brought this guy as a candidate to the school board in Des Moines, JG Consulting, they have scrubbed a mention of this person as one of the examples of the great work they do in bringing.
That's a whole nother issue, and I know we're up against it, but that's a whole nother issue. These consulting firms, they are tied into the teachers unions. It is a very weird sort of world out there of K through 12 hiring.
And by the way, as much as we're having fun with this and pointing out that this is, you're right, DEI in action and immigration laws and all of that stuff, nowhere in any of these conversations is how are the schools doing in Des Moines? How about the children? How are they being served? Because that's never part of the conversation. Now, they checked boxes, and they were super happy and virtuous for hiring a Guyanese immigrant to be their superintendent of schools without bothering to check to see if he was an actual criminal. It's 6:44.
Your next $1,000 could be one text away. It's $5K a day on WMAL.
No, Julie Gunlock, you are not eligible for the $5K a day prizes that we're giving away here on WMAL. But nice try. Sorry. On Friday, Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the General Assembly of the United Nations, and there were a couple of amazing moments. By the way, we've got General Jack Keane joining us at 8:05 about this, and Matt Schlapp at 7:35. First, a couple of things. He did first, the best part is there was a staged walkout when Netanyahu started speaking. A bunch of virtue signaling, led by terrorist nations,
terrorist-loving, yes,
stood up and walked out. Good riddance. Stay out. In fact, the United Nations is a healthier place for anybody who sees Israel as the enemy in the scenarios post October 7th. Number two, he did a bit of a victory lap on Iran. Cut 6. Take a listen.
I want to thank President Trump for his bold and decisive actions. President Trump and I promised to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons, and we delivered on that promise.
That's right. And literally the world is a safer place, but these idiots are on Iran's side. Then, by the way, before he gave his speech, he notified them. He said the Israeli government and the IDF had taken control of all of the smartphones and cell phones in the Palestine territories, in Gaza and the West Bank, and his speech was being automatically broadcast on people's smartphones in those areas.
Brilliant.
It's just brilliant.
Yes.
Which, of course, sort of is reminiscent of another stellar moment in the last year, the pager attack on Hezbollah. And he mentioned it. Listen to this. And those who were remaining, they were clearly in favor of killing as many radical Islamic terrorists as possible. Cut 7.
You remember those beepers, the pagers? We paged Hezbollah. And believe me, they got the message. And thousands of terrorists dropped to the ground.
We paged Hezbollah, and they got the message.
You know, Larry, recently I heard someone on the right actually talking about how terrible that pager attack was and sort of having sympathy for these terrorists who were the target of that pager attack. That was a brilliant operation. And
what are you doing listening to Candace Owens?
How did you know?
Also,
it was a brilliant.
Of course,
it was a brilliant attack.
And that's exactly.
Nothing but praise and applause.
Ask yourself 2 questions. Number 1, if Hezbollah had the technology to do that to every innocent Israeli citizen, would they hesitate to use that technology to murder them all?
It was Tucker, but okay.
Potato. Meanwhile, Netanyahu is visiting the White House today. And they're having lunch and then a meeting and then a press conference. But President Trump tweeted out over the weekend, or mentioned to Axios in an interview, they are at the final stages of a plan to end the war in Gaza. He says it's the most significant effort to date to end the war, and maybe we'll have a development announced today between Netanyahu and President Trump. We shall see. As I mentioned, Schlapp and Keene joining us on those topics later in the morning. Keep it here. It's now 6:52.